Hello and welcome to another episode of Taylor Talks Comics. I am Taylor and we are going to go over my free comic book day haul. Stay tuned. And we're back. Dupe actually I got him like a few months ago. If you've been paying attention to my live shows, Taylor Talks Comics Live. I go live once a week to go over the comic book industry news. You've probably seen him in the background, but he was a free comic book day exclusive. I'm not really sure why the shop that was selling them sold them early, but OmniDog, shout out to him, and James Abel tipped me off where there's a shop selling these early. I went to a shop yesterday and they did have these on sale. So these are exclusive to like $2,000 a piece or whatever. But it's Dupe from Ecstatics, the great run by Mike Allred and Peter Milligan. If you want to order comic books online, though, I do recommend to go to organicpricebooks.com. The best place to order your comics and graphic novels. Use my promo code Taylor Talks Comics. It's all one word, and they'll save you $2 off of your order. Or you can use my other promo code if you're putting in a bigger order of four books or more. You can use my other promo code. It's TTC. Ship it together, and they'll ship all your books together, and you save 5% off of that order. All that information is down below, as well as other ways to follow me, give the video a like, and all that jazz. But I'm going to go over all the books the free comics I picked up, but also some of the other ones that I purchased, and that's what we're going to do. So first, there's a free comic book day exclusive for Hellboy and Stranger Things. I've not read this yet. The artwork does look cool. It's by Mark Laszlo. I'm not familiar with him, but his artwork does look a lot different than Mike Mignola, so it's always fun to see other people's interpretation of Hellboy. And then the Stranger Things, back here, the little strip is about the long-haired guy. It looks like when he was younger, maybe. I don't know, but I've not read this one either. I have read some Stranger Things comics, though. They're pretty good. This is Gotcha Man number 0. I opened this and picked it up. It looks like this, I'm not familiar with the Gotcha Man property, but it's written by Colin Bunn, Tommy Lee Edwards, and Steve Orlando. There's 3 different stories in here. And I know it's a Japanese property. I assume it was probably an anime back in the day, but the artwork looks really cool throughout here and the different panel layouts and whatnot. So I gave it a try. It looks like a Japanese property that maybe they're bringing over here to the States through Mad Cave. This is the one I wanted the most. This is Fantagraphics, and this is stories from the Atlas Comics Library. If you're not familiar, Marvel Comics in the 50s, before it was called Marvel Comics, it's called Atlas. And this collects some of those stories from that era because Fantagraphics is actually reprinting this material. Marvel's kind of farmed that out to them. Raving Maniac is a famous strip with Joe Maneely artwork, but Stan Lee draws it. Even has one of my favorite panels that I always point out to people right here. Whenever people are complaining about comics being woke or something stupid, I always point out, like, don't read them. Nobody shoved them down your throat. That's one of my favorite panels ever in comics. And then we have this one by Basil Wolverton. This is Basil Wolverton's strip. He's one of my favorite Golden Age artists. I think it's another Joe Maneely strip in here. So just a collection of the different stories that they'll be collecting throughout. This is a Joe Maneely parody strip about, it's a parody of Dennis the Menace, but Pascal the Rascal. So it's a fun little strip there. And this one, oh, I think this might, is this, that might be, I'm trying to think. Bill Everett, that's the artist I was thinking of. Possibly. I think that might be the Venus strips. But here's some of the other books that they're collecting. I have the Adventures into Terror. I need to order Venus at some point, and then these are 2 of the other ones that are coming out. Collecting those strips. And then the Joe Maneely book. I do have that. I should show that off. Barbaric. This is one of my favorite comics that have come out in the last few years by Michael Morecci and trying to get the names. Nathan Gooden, Fabiano Marquez, Jim Campbell's the letter. So this is a Barbarian story where the axe, his main weapon is his axe that talks. and he gets fed on blood. So every time he kills somebody, the axe gets fed with more blood and can talk. And the Barbarian is like sent on a mission to where he can only kill bad people, and he's kind of cursed in this way by this witch. And it's just like really kind of funny, but also ultra violent and cool Barbarian stories. So if you're into like Conan and stuff, it's kind of that same nature. But this was a free comic by Vault. I don't know if this was Free Comic Book Day exclusive or if it was, I don't know. It was just on the racks, so I picked it up. Speaking of Conan, though, Titan Comics and Heroic Signatures are doing Conan stories. I've not actually read any of this run, but Jim Zub's writing it, and the artwork on this one is by Scharf. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the artist. I can't see his first name. Don't want to not credit him. There's a billion credits here. Maybe it's in here. Oh, here it is. Jonty Jonas Scharf. And then jumping Canola, Gero Canola, Rich Starkings, Chris Butera. This is I haven't read any of the new Conan from Jim Zub, and I've been hearing nothing but great reviews of it, so I'm excited to read this. I think it's supposed to be some spin-off story. Honestly, I'm hoping that they to get like trade paperbacks or collections of this. One day to read it easier. Johnny Quest, one of my favorite cartoons as a kid, and Dynamite's now doing a Johnny Quest comic book series, so I'm really excited to read this. Great Chris Samney cover on this one. Great Chris Samney cover, and Johnny Quest is a great adventure cartoon if you've never watched it back in the day. Great animation too. It's like such a high budget that it only lasted one season, but it was about Johnny Quest and his friend Haji, and then his kind of bodyguard / adventure guy, Race Bannon, and then his dad, who is a scientist. And they go on these little adventures of exploration. And this one seems to have a time-traveling element. I read this last night, and so it seems pretty interesting. But along with this comic, it also comes with the Thundercats preview. Dynamite's been doing Thundercats comics, as well as Space Ghost. So they've been doing a lot of licensed comics that aren't just like their typical stuff. Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, Thundercats, can't go wrong. I Lie, Popeye, #1. This is by Massive Comics. And this one I read last night, and it was amazing. I'm excited for the series to come out. It's manga influenced. They say it's Dragon Ball Z and One Piece kind of influenced, but with the Popeye character. So you can see by the artwork, it's definitely has a manga flavor to it. And even like the action scenes were really fun. Like you could just see like it's all very manga influence with like the limbs and the speed lines. So it seems like to me like a fun fight comic, but for kids, it's all ages. And it ends in this climactic battle. Popeye ate his spinach. He's spinning his arm around. He's gonna punch that guy. But yeah, that's one of the all ages options. Mad Magazine. I read this all last night. This was amazing. I didn't even know this was coming out for Free Comic Book Day. But this is put out by DC, and because they own the license to Mad, and they it's a collection of all these different Mad strips throughout all the years, all to do with DC characters. So it's like parodies of Batman, Superman. Throughout here, though, a cartoonist I wasn't familiar with was Kerry Callan. He's one of the newer Mad artists. I think some of these are from like 2019, 2020. Some of his strips, and they're hilarious. So now I have a new cartoonist to follow, Kerry Callan. Shout out to him. But really funny stuff in here. Just funny, making fun of superheroes kind of stuff. Tons of Strange. This one was okay. The cover with the EC influence on the cover and everything really caught my eye. I wasn't familiar with it elsewhere. And it has 3 strips in here. Sip and Saber, Oarsman, and Becoming Frankenstein. My favorite throughout here is Oarsman. It's like a mostly silent comic with really cool like cartooning and lettering and stuff in that one. So that was the standout here, but otherwise it was just okay. Just some other ones I haven't read yet. Ultra Duck. I haven't read that one yet. Initial D. This is like a car comic or car manga with like street racing. And I always love good street racing car scenes. So excited to check that out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Who is the Night Watcher? I'm not familiar with I've read like every TMNT run of comics except the current IDW run. So that'll be interesting to dive into. Energon Universe. This is the Skybound Image universe of Transformers and G.I. Joe. Something else I want to dive into. It seems pretty cool. The Worlds of James Tynion. James Tynion's an writer that I really like. I really like his Department of Truth run. But I have not read Something is Killing the Children. What else is in here? Mimetic in the Woods. So this will be like kind of a sampler for that. That's what Free Comic Book Day is really good for, is kind of a sampler of these stories you've not read. And then Marvel's run on Planet of the Apes. I love the Planet of the Apes franchise, so I get to sample what they're doing with that character. Those are all the free comics I got, and then here's the purchases I made. The first one is Punks. This is a story by Keith Giffen, where he did the artwork and writing. And it's a run I've heard about before, but I've always wanted to check it out. Keith Giffen is he sadly passed away last year, but he's one of those writers that every time I read a new comic from him, I fall in love with it, and I just always want to read more Keith Giffen comics. This is a series that he did with Valiant, and it has like this kind of crazy art style he had around the same time that he was doing Trencher back in the day. So I wanted to check it out, and it has punks in the title. I love punk rock music and the punk rock scene, and this is like, it seems like a post-apocalyptic type story. Issue 2 had this really crazy, fun layout where it had Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics in here, where he's kind of explaining what's going on with the story. And it seems like this is kind of Keith Giffen's vehicle to commentate on comics, maybe. I don't know. So that always is interesting to me as well. And then, but it only lasted 3 issues, and I think there was a 4th spin-off feature that was like a manga type influenced. I don't know. But I was excited to try that out. It's only 3 issues, and I got that actually because the store we went to had buy one get one free sets where they like packaged single issues together. So I got it along with the Howard the Duck story. This is the Howard the Duck Max Comics line. Max Comics is the parental advisory explicit content line that Marvel used to have, and this is actually issue 1. And my son pointed out right away, he's like, "That's not Howard the Duck. Who is that? And why is he a mouse?" So so Steve Gerber, to my understanding, and I've not read this yet, but Steve Gerber, when he was doing Howard the Duck, he's the one that created the character back in the day. And Marvel kind of co-opted and continued doing Howard the Duck character or comics even after Steve Gerber left Marvel. And much to Steve Gerber's chagrin, he then did Destroyer Duck, which I think I have a video on that, which I should link above, with the whole story behind Destroyer Duck. But then back in the early 2000s, they wanted to do another Howard the Duck comic for the Max imprint. Steve Gerber originally turned it down, I think, to my understanding. Again, I could have this wrong. But then he said he would do it, but he didn't want Howard the Duck. He kind of wanted the Howard the Duck character to go away. So he turned him into a mouse, I guess. And then this is a weird, wacky story that Steve Gerber put together. I don't know. So I'm excited to try that out. Some more single issues I got. So I'm trying to... Currently, I'm in the process of custom binding all of the Master of Kung Fu line. Every appearance of Shang-Chi in the entire 125 issue run, I think it was, with a bunch of other appearances by him in other comics and stuff. I'm trying to collect all of them. I'm pretty close. I think I only have like 20-ish issues left that I'm missing. So these were some issues that were in my list that I still need. And this one is drawn by Paul Gulacy. One of the reasons I love this series so much is the artists involved. This one's Paul Gulacy. This one's Mike Zeck. I think I got 2 Mike Zecks. Yeah, Mike Zeck did these 2, which he's a great artist in his own right. But Paul Gulacy and then Gene Day are the standouts. This is a Gene Day issue. Gene Day, who had a short career because he sadly died at a young age, was known for his really inventive panel layouts in his comics. For the Bronze Age, like these were pretty ambitious, and his art style is very rigorous. The reason some people ask me, like, why don't I just get the Marvel omnibuses that they came out with for these? But this is like a pulp adventure comic. It's like Bruce Lee meets James Bond, kind of, and I really love these comics. And the pulpiness of it, I feel like, looks better on these newsprint comics with like the yellow newsprint. I think the art just like lives on here better. I love this page too. I was flipping through this last night. That was such like a Ben Mara. Ben Mara is obviously influenced by Paul Gulacy, I think. But yeah, so I'll probably do a separate video where I'm showing off all of these before I custom bind them. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. These were wild. So we went to All Yeah Comics, and they had a long box out in front where these were only $1 a piece. Like trade paperbacks for $1 a piece. What's that? Oh yeah, All Yeah Comics was a Muncie, and they're actually doing a Muncie Comic Con next week. If you're interested, May 11th. If you want to hang out there. So these were all $1 a piece. These trade paperbacks, which is really cool. And I've wanted to try out a lot of these for a while. This is Dean Haspiel and Mark Waid. Mark Waid, I'll read any superhero comics Mark Waid writes. I feel like he's one of the most perfect superhero comic writers. And Dean Haspiel is an artist that I really enjoy. So this character, the Fox, is one that Alex Toth drew back in the day. And Dean Haspiel has kind of this Alex Tothian art style that also is reminiscent of Mike Allred, who writes the intro to this trade paperback. A very similar style. I think one thing that Dean Haspiel brings to the table too is like this awesome lettering on the Fox here. And I don't know if he does the actual lettering inside the comic. Should probably look that up here. Line art. No, John Workman does the letters. Oh, John Workman's a great letterer. Maybe John Workman did the title. I don't know, but there's another Dean Haspiel comic that I'm going to show off here that the lettering looks kind of similar. But this is an Archie Comics, actually. The Fox is an Archie Comics character, but they have like a Red Circle Comics imprint for their superheroes. And this is 5 issues. It collects the entire run that he did with the Fox character. So I'm excited to dive into this. I read the first issue, and it's really enjoyable. It looked like the Shield showed up. That's a character that's like the Archie Comics Captain America character. So... oh, maybe there's another Fox Hunt. Maybe they continued it on. I was trying to do research on if there's more of these. Let me know in the comments. But Dean Haspiel is an artist that I really enjoy. That I want to read more of. Speaking of Dean Haspiel, this is The Red Hook, New Brooklyn. This is his webcomic that he did that's then collected and published by Image Comics. I think there's only 2 volumes of this. And I was looking last night. His art style here almost has like reminiscent of like a Michel Fife of Copra fame. I really like that. But I think he did a Kickstarter recently where he did like a new single issue follow-up of this story. So I definitely want to dive more into this and read more Dean Haspiel comics, because that's how my obsessive mind works. I find one creator I like, and then I want to read all of their comics. This is Static by Matt Lesnowski. Sorry, I butchered your name, Matt. And Carlos Padilla does the coloring. Matt L, I will say, has this really rigorous, like insane mark making on every page line art. He came out with the comic that I always wanted to read called The Freak. I think it was published by Ad House. And that was all black and white, so you really see his line art in its full insanity. But this is a story he did with Dark Horse Comics. It's a graphic novel, and it seems insane and fun, and everything I want in comics, just bonkers insanity. Popstar Assassin, speaking of bonkers insanity, this is by Behemoth. I collected the single issues of one of the runs of Popstar Assassin, and I can't remember if it's this series or the follow-up series. Or if this is the follow. I'm having confusion here, but this is great because it's like all the 70s characters. Oh, I actually remember this cover. So this is the first series of Popstar Assassin. The follow-up, I think, was called Popstar Assassin 2, which is, makes sense. But it's, you can see like it looks like a film poster from the 70s. It's all these 70s real life characters. You got Elvis, Bruce Lee, dang it, what's his name? The action star. Someone let me know in the comments. I'm butchering, or not butchering it, but I'm forgetting. But it's really cool. It's kind of like it's kind of reminds me of a little bit of the same premise of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill took like all of the Victorian age fictional characters. This kind of takes all of the famous people from the 70s. Marilyn Monroe also makes an appearance and puts them into this crime story. And the artwork and panel layouts are real fun. Kind of reminds me of like a Master of Kung Fu, Paul Gulacy type deal. And I want to collect the series in trade paperbacks because I don't know. It's great. 2 more books to show off. Zoro by Alex Toth. I have a previous video where I showed off all the Genius Illustrated Alex Toth trilogy. Genius Illustrated, Genius Animated, and Genius Isolated. The trilogy of books there. Alex Toth is an incredible artist. This collects all of his Zoro comics, which is amazing. And it does have like this weird, like, it looks almost like it's wet right there on the spine. But I looked on eBay, and a lot of people's are like that. So I'm assuming that's like the glue in the spine that is kind of bled over. It's put out by Image Comics in 2001, and it's like this weird album-size book. But I got this at All Yacht Comics, and that's one of my favorite comic shops to shop at now. I'm just like overwhelmed with all their options. They have like so many out-of-print stuff. You see, like it looks wet. I think it's just the glue, though. There is an intro by Howard Chaykin in here, and then an intro by, or a foreword by Alex Toth himself. But Alex Toth is just an amazing like artist. Like the very few lines he would use, but get so much out of them. And all of his faces look different. So in black and white, his art really sings. That's one thing that he was always known for, is he had the opposite of same face syndrome on his artwork. So I love Zoro. He's a fun pulp hero, and this collects all of the Alex Toth stories. So any time I can get a collection of Alex Toth is a good time for my library. And last but not least, Hulk Grand Design by Jim Rugg. I can't even get this all on the camera. Hold on. There we go. This is a Treasury edition. I collected this in the two single issues, but I wanted the Treasury edition because this is like amazing. Like this is like one of the best designed books. I have no idea why this didn't win an Eisner last year for best designed book. Jim Rugg, I think is one of the most underrated cartoonists in comics, but he's even more underrated as a book designer and graphic designer. I think that's really where his talents sing. And this book itself is just gorgeous. So like the end papers on this side are like the original art, black and white art of the front cover. So that was issue 1 cover, and this was issue 2. You put them together to get a full face. And then the back cover is like the colored version of the same ones. That's actually what the covers look like. They're full color. And you get the blown up image for the, like this is like, if you want to look at a great, well-designed book, this is like a masterclass. So you got the end papers here or the intro papers here of Jim Rugg, Hulk Grand Design. A photo of the first issue, an actual issue. So this is an old t-shirt they had that says, "Here comes the Hulk." It's like blown up image. And then at the end of the book is the back part of that shirt where it says, "There goes the Hulk." So again, just a fun little graphic design or book design piece there. Here's like corner boxes, where the famous corner boxes where the Hulk is transforming throughout the different issues on there. And this is the end papers. This was a Hulk Grand Design is the third chapter of the Grand Design project. Ed Piskor started off with X-Men, and he had these these intro papers, intro page, I guess. And so Tom Scioli did his version of it, and then for Fantastic Four, and then Jim Rugg did his version. This is a cover. Is that by Peach Momoko? I don't know if it says or not. Dang it. But I know this is Ed Piskor's cover, where he's homaging the McFarlane cover, but he uses the Herb Trimpe version of Wolverine there. And this is a cool little Easter egg too. So this is a great image of Bruce Banner, diving out of the explosion, the gamma explosion that gave him his powers. But this little introduction here was on the cereal bowl or the cup that Jim Rugg said he drank out of every day as a kid, and it kind of inspired him to like want to make a whole comic one day. So it's just a cool little Easter egg there. But inside, like as far as like page layouts and graphic design, the way he took the Grand Design, because the whole Grand Design thing is you have one cartoonist doing all the coloring, penciling, lettering, everything to do with the comic, and telling the whole story of one character or team throughout its entirety. And Ed Piskor did his version. Tom Scioli had his own spin on the project, and then Jim Rugg took it and put his own spin on it, where each page almost sings as like a Sunday strip, but overall tells a whole cohesive story. And it doesn't just tell the story of Hulk within the comics, it tells like Hulk in like pop culture too. So you have like the Japanese manga cover there, the Rolling Stone cover, but just like every version of Hulk. That's one thing that Jim Rugg's great at too, showing off all the lettering too, is he's amazing at drawing in different styles. This is a Jeff Darrow cover. So this is the next issue, issue 2. This one is done by, dang it, Ed McGuinness did that cover. And it tells the whole history of the Hulk throughout its entirety in all these great, I don't know, it's just amazing, like a masterclass of design and book and whatnot. So, is that, oh yeah, this was really cool too. So he finished it off with like, I think Peter David's run is what finishes it off, But he has an epilogue here showing off Planet Hulk. And then I love this 2-page layout of World War Hulk, where it's like comics within the letters. Kind of reminds me of like a Gene Day, the aforementioned. You get some famous letters from famous people that wrote in throughout the day. And here's Hulk Grand Design. When I was 6 years old, the Hulk was my hero. He was the strongest. My dream project at Marvel is to make the greatest Hulk comic of all time. And this is his proposal. It's where he talks about the cereal bowl he had and whatnot. Here's one of his ballpoint pen drawings. He draws that on notebook paper with just ballpoint pen, which is amazing. And then all the some extras back here. Just really, really great. So this is out of print, and I've been trying to hunt it down and find it before it goes for crazy prices on the aftermarket, because I don't think Marvel reprints these usually, the treasury editions. But that's it. That's all my free comic book day haul. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below. Let me know what you picked up on free comic book day, or if you have anything to note about anything I picked up, any questions, any of these books that you want me to do a separate video on, all of that jazz. But thank you guys. I will see you on the next video.